Hello and welcome to Love It Film, and as you can tell, it's a bit of a spooky setup in the usual Love It Film set. And that's for a reason. We're in the spooky season. We're going to be talking to actors who were in horror movies, slasher movies, everything in between. We have big names coming up, and today we are talking to Lee Waddell. Lee was the first ever actor to become Ghostface in Scream 1996. He worked with Wes Craven. He was the original Ghostface that took down Drew Barrymore in the opening sequence. It's fascinating that I get to talk to Lee today about, putting on that mask for the first time. I mean, the first Ghostface mask wasn't even the proper mask you see in all the later movies. It was something to do with copyright. I'm sure I'll talk to Lee about it today. And I wonder what that was like for Lee. He also worked with Wes Craven before with Nightmare on Elm Street. Lee is a stuntman who's been in big movies like Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man. He was in Blade, X-Men First Class. Apparently he was in Con Air, Face Off, which are great movies as well. So I can't wait to talk to Lee about the life of a stuntman. Without further ado, let's get into the interview. Lee Waddell, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I mean, you're a legendary stuntman, actor. I mean, the original Ghostface for a fact as well, which is fascinating to think about because obviously there's been stuntmen who have been in the Ghostface costume, but you were the first ever person to put on that costume. Wes Craven, 1996. Drew Barrymore is the opening scene. That's a hell of a way to start a franchise. Take me back to that movie when you first got the part where you're put on this costume. I mean, do you remember seeing the costume for the first time?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to some guys about that this past weekend. When in that robe, I don't know if you've ever played, cosplayed or not, but those robes, the ones that are pretty legit, right? The real, what's called real ones, they're pretty heavy textile. I mean, it has some weight to it, right? And then I remember looking at the mask, and I don't think I was that impressed about the mask at the time. If you, I'm like, this is going to be scary. How? I mean, is it whatever? um, and so, but you got to remember it was another, we had no idea it was going to be, the franchise that it is, right? We had no idea it was going to be, here we are 30 years later, still talking about it, which is totally incredibly crazy, cool, fun. But yeah, I didn't have any idea it was going to do what it did. Even when we did the second one, and I'm like, oh yeah, we'll get two, and everybody be happy. And number 7 comes out in February next year.
I mean, it's timeless. It's one of those things where it's just, I mean, even when you go past the movies, the actual mask itself, even when it's
Uh-huh.
not in Halloween time, you just see that face absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's on my
Everywhere.
hoodie today, as you can see. I wore it for the interview. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. I mean, is it true as well with that first time you were put on the mask, that first scene, that the mask wasn't even the official mask that they were going to use for the movie? There was like a copyright issue or along those
Yeah,
lines.
well, they they're going round and round with Fun World or whoever owns the mask at that time, and KMB Effects is the effects guys that Wes had used a bunch, and they're back in the house, so they just kind of made up their version, and that was the one that we started off with, and we probably would have stayed with that one if the licensing didn't get squared away, and um, so and I like the KMB more than I do the the Fun World ones, only in the sense that the KMB mask is very symmetrical. But and what I do like about the Fun World masks are that they do have a little character to them. Like the mouth is a little bit longer, crooked. I mean, they have character to them, right? But the KMB, the original, very asymmetrical, very void of anything, right? So I think that mask is actually more creepy in the sense that it lets the audience, it lets that viewer go to wherever that picture, they paint in their mind, and there's nothing. You're like, oh yeah, his mouth is this way or his eyes are this way. You look at that. You look at the original KMB. It's just void. So I think has better impact on the audience because you could take them to wherever they go. As the viewer.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, as I said, it's one of those things that's just absolutely timeless. I mean, that movie, working with Wes Craven, legendary horror director, it wasn't your first time working with him, right? I read online that you were a stuntman and you did work in Nightmare on Elm Street in '84.
Yeah, I mean that was my first shot with Wes was way back then, and his longtime second unit director and stunt coordinator and good friend. His name's Tony Caesar, still alive and well. And Tony gave me a shot to come out help there on Nightmare One, and yeah, it was the first time I met Wes, and he let me kind of get in there and learn a lot. And I didn't make a total fool of myself because I that was my first one, and I worked on just about every show he did all the way up through Nightmare. I mean through Scream 2.
Wow. Scream
Yeah.
2 as well. I mean, there was a lot of scenes in that where I feel Ghostface didn't necessarily have to run around, as in there were scenes like the car where he was basically dead, but it was such a scary scene because when he was apparently dead in this car and the audience is going, is he alive? Is he not? I mean, it's just, was that you in the car? Were you the person performing there?
Yeah, I was the stunt actor guy on that, and her and Nev and Wes were just locked up that night, man. They were just so in sync, and he was getting such good performance. And then, uh, the way that it was edited, and I mean, it was just. I watched Scream 2 probably for the first time in 10, 15 years, not too long ago, and I had kind of forgotten how just intense that scene is. I mean,
So intense. Yeah.
it's just a great, right? um, and the way that they brought it all together, and the lighting and the editing, and I mean, it was just a complete scene. It was really good. It's very impactful. Great
Yeah,
scene.
to this day, it's terrifying. I mean, in preparation for this interview, I've seen all of the Scream movies 1,000 times, but I rewatched specifically the first two, And that
Yeah,
second movie for a sequel, I still think holds up to this day. It's very, very good. Coming back on that, did you notice that the production a hell of a lot bigger because the first one was, this small movie that turned into a big success, or did Wes sort of keep it as this, you know, same type of spirit?
nah, they gave us some more money on number two, but not. I think we only had like 3 or 4 million on the first one. They might have given us 5 or 6 on the second one,
Right.
right?
Okay.
You know, I can't remember what those budget was, but they were they were low even for that time. They were low,
Yeah.
um, and so they did give us a raise for number two, but it wasn't much. I mean, it was only a couple of $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of movie standards, it wouldn't be a lot. I mean, as I was talking about, the original Ghostface is such a legendary thing to be remembered for, but you're a stunt actor. You've been in so many different productions. For people wanting to get into that, where did you start? As in, how did you get into that industry?
Well, and today when I was coming up, during that time and under that studio system, um, it's I'd studied film. I'd taken film through my high school classes and at college and at film school and stuff like that. So I had a real strong. I liked film. I liked photography, um, and so when I got out of high school, I went to film school for a little bit, and then at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I got to go. I'm either gonna go make movies and be an actor, being a stunt guy, or I'm gonna go join the army and I'll still get adrenaline, but movies pay better. And so that was really about that was the thought process. It really was. Um, and so I ended up making movies, and that was, let's see, about 82. I started doing extras work. Yeah. Then got in the union somewhere around 84. So, and then,
You know,
yeah, so
it's
that was a 10-year overnight sensation.
I mean, it's such a foreign industry to like myself over living in Ireland. I mean, we make movies here, but not like you guys do. It's such an interesting field to be in. I mean, I heard you were in movies like Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1, sorry, back in
Yeah.
2002. I mean, did you remember that production? I imagine that was like similar in the sense that it's a first movie, but a much bigger name. You know, like it's Spider-Man. Did you have any memories from that set?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I was on it. I rigged on it I did a little bit of Dublin and acting, and then I was on that thing for 2 or 3 months, just rigging, having an absolute blast. Um, and it was a big high dollar show, big names, big money, and we got to do some really cool stunt stuff. We were flying people all over the place, and
Wow.
it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed my time on that film. That was a really good one. There's a couple of big shows out of my career where I've gotten those big long runs, and we just, you're working hard and everything, and a lot of hours and a lot of responsibility, but at the end of the day, still just laughing and loving through it and having a blast.
Such a cool job. I mean, I was reading the movies you were working on, like Terminator as well. Is that true?
Yeah, that was my very first. I think that was my very first union job.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It was such an impressive list. You know, like sometimes you read like, for like stunt actor, there's so many different things, but it was like for you, it's like, all right, the original Ghostface, that's super interesting on its own. But I was like, okay, the Terminator, you're in Blade, you're in Spider-Man, all these different films where it's high stakes. I'd imagine it's just a fun environment to work in, but also at times dangerous perhaps. Like, is there a stunt you can think back to where it was like, oh my god, that was close?
Um, Not close, but it was just like it hurt. So, you know, I did this, and I can't remember the name of the film, and but it was like at night, like 4 or 5 stories, um, full fire, high fall off this building. That had a lot of elements that would kill you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and of course you got your fire gear on, you can't really see too good, and then you got to go hit your mark and make sure you fall off the building. Yeah, fall off correctly, not kill yourself on the way down, make sure you get put out and not burn up on the way. I mean, it was a multiple of one, but if something was going to get sideways, that had the high potential for doing it. But once again, when you're doing big stunts, it's so well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rehearsed and like you know the
Yeah, and even at the end of the day, it's the stunt man's job to put everything right where they want it. But when you're surrounded with really high caliber, sharp stunt performers, you know, you do have some ability to go like, well, I could do this, this, and this. And they're like, yeah, I did one like this, but this is what I did. I'm like, oh, that might be a great idea. So it's really cool to have that support, right?
yeah, of
You're
course.
surrounded by super talented guys.
Everyone knows what they're doing.
Pretty
You know,
much, or better.
yeah, of course. I mean, someone wanted to ask too. Just thinking back on the first Scream, that first opening scene with Drew Barrymore. I remember hearing an interview with the voice of Ghostface, Roger L. Jackson, where he was saying when they were making that movie, he wasn't allowed to talk to the actors because it was like a big thing where they wanted Ghostface to be a real scary presence. Were you allowed to take off your mask in between takes, like even if you were
Yeah,
warm
once
or?
that was established, and I had worked with Drew before, but I don't know if she actually fully saw. Um, I don't know if she actually saw wardrobe 100% before we actually shot that night.
Oh
I
my
don't
god.
know. I'll have to ask her that if I ever see her one of these days. But yeah, they kept Roger sequestered, right? Because they
Yeah.
wanted him. Because if you've ever met Roger, he's a sweetheart of a guy. Funny, gosh, is he funny? And he's like a and once you meet him and he does Ghostface, it's like listening to a radio personality. Then you get to meet him like in real life, not over the airwaves, and it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't match. And that's kind of how Ghostface voice and Roger, yeah, like oh that's Roger, and of course he's such a great human being, delightful guy, funny, does about a bazillion voices. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good
I
dude.
mean, yeah, I've seen one or two interviews with him where I'm like, well, he's not as scary as that voice, you know?
No, he's not. He like I said, it looks like he sells insurance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd imagine Ghostface is very physically demanding, and just in terms of running, there was a lot of running in the movie too. A lot of those early shots in the opening, you just see him running around. I hear a lot of stories too where maybe they got Skeet or Matthew in the costume for certain moments. Or is that true? I'd imagine it was you guys all the time, no?
I think there was one shot that we put Skeet in full wardrobe. I think it, yeah. I think there was one when he was sneaking up on the couch. I think that was like Skeet wanted to do that. But for the most part, we wouldn't let actors run around with sharp, pointy things. It's just not a good look. Um, and so, yeah, it was either me or a stunt double or something like that that would jump in there. And there were so many times where Wes had thrown shots in. I mean, there was probably one or two times when I was on hold, even though I was up at location but not working, and they ended up doing shots. So they just like, hey, put the mask on, and there's and out there with all those. Here's what I love: the Scream Nation, Scream universe. There's a certain scene that they pointed out to where there's like the Canby mask sitting in the bush, like outside of Sidney Prescott's house, and I'm like, and I'm the only guy who wore the Canby, right? And I'm like, that is not me, guys. I don't know if we got the freaking craft service. I have no idea, but it wasn't me. And so we have yet to find out who that person is.
That's a big mystery. Yeah, because
yeah, it's a really neat piece of Scream, trivia lore that is yet to be, unraveled.
It's so cool that you're the only actor who was in the K&B mask. You get a certain sense of your own mask for a movie franchise that has so many masks that look the same. Your one does look different, in that opening sequence. You can tell, as you were saying, the symmetrics of the face. It's a cool mask to be remembered for.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really do, because when I get together with some of the guys, the other actors, the other stunt guys that portrayed, Ghostface over the franchise, and I did 1 and 2, and I wore the original Canby, and I wore the original Gen 1, I wore the original Gen 2, and I wore the poly shroud Gen, so I wore 4 different variations, and I think I killed more people than any of them. But that sounds weird.
I mean, we're in the Scream universe. That's all normal.
Yes, we're in the Scream universe, so let's not get censored.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Love of Film and you're watching us here on YouTube, please subscribe. I mean, it would really help us. I mean, if you like our stuff, we post reels all the time on Instagram, on TikTok, and please leave a review. Reviews do great for us. I mean, helps us make more of these videos on Apple Podcast reviews. That's where the magic happens. So if you have time and want to give your thoughts, it doesn't have to be positive too. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can write that down. You can get angry. Yeah, leave a review. If you're enjoying Love It Film over here, the show with me, talking to these people about movie things, you can help us directly by signing up to our Patreon. The links are in the bio. I mean, hey, a little goes a long way. So if you want to do that, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's neat that I'm like, as far as I know, I'm the only guy who's worn that many variations, and which is cool. But yeah, so the Canby is a special mask. That's why I use it on photo ops, and I don't know if we'll be on. This will be put up in time, but I'm coming over there to you guys to do For Love of Horror.
Oh right? Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I'm gonna bring the Canby with me so I can do photo ops with it.
Cool.
Yeah, and
it's very cool.
Yeah,
it really is. It's one of these things where, I mean, the Scream franchise, the fan base, I don't think people realize how gigantic it is. I mean, I've seen the panels you guys do and the photo ops and the cons. It is huge, the amount of people that come to see you guys. How does it feel this many years later, this celebration of what you guys did?
Oh, I mean, it's such a blessing. I mean, how cool is it? And it's great that Wes lives on. It's great that Ghostface lives on, right? Franchise is healthy. But I mean, and here's the beautiful thing about that franchise, and out of all the franchises and all the generic, I mean, horror. I get to do them all. I do anime, I do Comic Cons, I do pop cons, I do horror cons, right? I'm full gamut. And the horror community, man, it's just cut better. There's just like, when you get to like horror con, it's just a love fest. Like, I never go to horror cons and people get all, there's rubs. It's not clicked out. People aren't fighting. It's not, everybody has this beautiful attitude and, just wants to hang out. And that's what's really cool about the horror genre and the cons and all that. And it's really cool when you can go to a horror con and somebody will mash up Ghostface, Freddy, and Jason and make it work.
Yeah,
You know,
and then Michael Myers were behind it too, and it's
yeah,
like so it's okay.
exactly. You can mash all these dudes together and like, hey, that's really cool, right? And
Like
for
I don't
some
know if
odd,
you can see behind me, but we have on our
yeah,
second
I can
camera
see
we
him
can
back
see this.
there.
We have a standard Ghostface mask with Michael Myers as well. It can all be combined. It's just
Yeah, well, and
accepted.
that's just it, right? And so I love that you could do that, and there's no horror is so designed for that, right? You can't do that
Yeah,
in anime. Well, you
no.
can, but anime won't let you. So, I got plenty of animes. You're like, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. So you can in horror. Why don't you come over here?
Yeah,
And so it's really fun to. I love that about the horror franchise and and the horror fans and that event you guys have over there that I'm coming over to, for love of horror. That's
yeah.
freaking
So
massive.
cool. Yeah, very
Massive,
cool.
massive, massive. And I've had big lines, but I have a feeling you guys are just going to crush it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
I mean, over Ireland, England, the amount of fans from American movies, like horror in particular, it's gigantic. I went to just standard Liverpool Comic Con back in
yeah,
May, and wow, the amount of people that go, it's insanity. But it's cool, as you said. It's just a good vibe. Nobody's there for a bad reason, you know.
there's no horror hooligans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's not. Everybody just gets there and just loves on each other and has fun. And I'm sorry you have to wait in some lines, but what's cool about
Worth
it,
it.
even cool about that is I have people that I see every year, other year at a con, and they come up with the same group of people, and they're like con buddies. They met at a con 4 or 5 years ago in Matt's line, and they've hit it off, and so now they do 2 or 3 cons a year throughout the states, and that's their con family, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd say
So,
people have met, got married. I mean, years in the
hell
making.
yeah,
That's what it's for. I mean, Scream, as I was saying, it's going on to the point where new movies are coming out. Have you seen all the movies that have come out year by year? Have you caught up, been keeping up with the new ones coming out?
yeah. I've watched 1 through 6. Seven's on the way. It'll be here in February, which will be here feel like next week, the way time flies.
It will,
Uh,
yeah.
and so, yeah, I'm up on I keep up in the franchise. Hey, people got to remember, I'm a horror fan, right? And I love that franchise. I love Scream. I love being part of it. I'm blessed enough and I'm honored enough to be, you know, the guy, so to speak, for Ghostface, at least the original. Um, and the horror community has adopted me as that spokesperson, which I just absolutely love. And so, yeah, I like keeping up on the franchise. I'm really, as far as the franchise goes, obviously, I love one. Two, like we were talking about earlier, two is an actual. If you didn't need the timeline, this is just my opinion. If you didn't need the timelines out of number two or from number one into two, two is a great standalone film.
Yeah. I loved it too. It's just so it's like a vibe of that movie with the college
Yeah, I
setting
loved it.
and the ending in the theater. It's just a
Loved it.
very very. It's a feeling, like, and I was watching those movies way too young, and like to this day,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm a massive horror fan. I love it, man. I love Screen Two, in particular. That's actually my favorite of the entire franchise. I
Yeah,
go
right after
two and
one.
then
No,
one.
right after one, right?
No, honestly, I like two more than one. You might think I'm crazy, but I love
I
that
do
movie.
think you're crazy, and I gotta go. Good interview. Anyways,
That's
yeah,
stuff. I mean,
it
speaking
is
of one
great.
and
It
two,
really is. And Lori Metcalf is such a delightful person. She is so funny, and she just did such a great job on that show.
oh, of course,
Uh,
Billy's mother, yeah, did such a good job. I
yeah,
mean,
she was great.
with these two movies, did you ever take any of the costumes home, a mask, or that K&B mask you have in the con? Is that the real
No,
deal,
that's
or
a replica, and that's a really nice replica. I mean, it's very, very accurate.
yeah?
Uh, and all the I don't I think there's rumored, and I've not seen it. I think there is rumor of an original K&B still in existence. Because most of them got cut up. There's a scene where in the principal's office, Henry Winkler, right? He cuts these masks. Most of them got cut up,
Oh my
and
god! So
so
the actual production mask was cut up in that scene for real.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't keep anything out of one. I wish I would have. I mean, if I knew it was going to do what it did, I would have. They would have found the whole wardrobe trailer up box in East LA, emptied. That is the um, and so I did keep. I kept one of my. It's known as a poly shroud. I kept one of those because those are the ones they gave me to when I did all the car work, and we had to actually cut some masks up to put on our crash helmets. So I kept one of those. So that's where I got mine. So that one I still have. And then that's about it. I didn't, you know, as an actor or as a stunt guy, I just wanted to do a good job. I didn't really,
Yeah.
I didn't get autographs. I didn't take a lot of memorabilia and stuff. Um, I have some of my drive-on placards, which are pretty cool from when I was on,
Yeah.
lots, being able to drive on those are neat. The only time I ever asked for something, because it was so cool, so I asked Stan Winston, who's the effects guys
Of
for
course.
Spielberg, right? And I asked him when I did that dinosaur stunt in Jurassic 2. Um, I asked him if I could have the big eye tooth because they had to take, when he gets pulled out of the Jeep and
Yeah.
thrown in half. Yeah, right. So that was silly me. Um, and so they had to take some of the teeth out to make a nice channel so my leg could get locked in there, and and so they made a channel in a sense. So they took one of the big, huge, incisor canine, whatever, those big old dagger teeth. It was just a cool piece. And I went to Stan directly. I'm like, Stan, please, can I have that? I mean, I've never asked for anything. And he knew me pretty well at that point. We've been on the show for months together. And he's like, I'd love to leave it. We're still filming, right? And it's not like they have a bunch
They
of.
might need it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was his point. Otherwise, he would have. I mean, he was such a great guy. He would have totally given me that thing. But we're still midship. We still had months of production to go. And that's the only thing that I really wish I would have got my hands on was one of those original Jurassic teeth out of that big
That's
lizard.
so cool. I mean, that
Yeah.
must have been an exciting project to work on, huh? Jurassic 2, The Lost World.
Mhm.
Probably like a theme park, huh? As in the
Yeah, I was on it.
animatronics. I mean, it wasn't fully CG back then, right? Like, I mean, there was animatronics everywhere and real
Well,
deal.
that was back in that time frame. That was right when we were crossing over between CG and practical, right? Um, and so that movie really married them both, right? And that was the biggest game in town. I don't know how many at that time. It was the biggest show budget that had ever been done. Um, and so, yeah, I was on that. That's another show that I was on for months. Just loved being on those big shows, making big money, having just a blast. You're working some big hours, but you're having such fun. You're not,
It
you know,
flies by.
yeah, because you don't feel like you're really working. You're having fun. You're doing cool stuff with cool rigs with big money behind you, so you can do big stuff. It's pretty, pretty rewarding.
Yeah, of course. Wow. I mean, you've really seen the evolution of this cross from CG and practical effects. I mean, I like reading your IMDb. I mean, movies like Terminator, Batman Returns, The Mask, Con Air, Face Off, Spider-Man, X-Men First Class. I mean, getting up to X-Men First Class, that's what, like 2011, something like that. That's proper
Yeah,
CG land type of,
yeah, it
you know.
was. I mean, and that was that was right when I was wrapping up my career. And that was, yeah, huge amounts of CG, but it's still at the end of the day, you're doing practical work. You got to film practical work. It wasn't a whole, it wasn't like Avatar, right?
Yeah, or
Um,
Star Wars or something where it's all blue screen. It was,
exactly.
sets. Yeah.
And so even on X-Men, it was almost all practical, and then they put the CG in to augment. So yeah, it was a fun time to be making movies, and I think nowadays a lot of directors are actually going back to very much practical
Yeah.
filmmaking. They're getting away from CGI, and because at the end of the day, the audience is so well versed and they have such a great eye for film that um, they know what CGI is, and as a viewer, we just accept that it's CGI. But if you could do something that's practical, it just looks better. It's like listening to an original vinyl record. I mean, there's this
Yeah.
texture and depth to it, and I think I think the CGI is here to stay. I'm not saying it at all. It allows us to do great stuff, but I think the audience gets tired of it a little bit sometimes because
I think so.
it's not necessarily that it's overdone, but it's just been around forever and it's kind of saturated, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Like, as someone like I'd be 26, so like growing up, a lot of CGI in my content I'm watching, left, right, and center. But the movies I grew up with and enjoyed most were from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They just felt
I
more
love
like
that.
real life, you
Where?
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to watch some really cool, I mean, have you watched the original black and white Universal Monsters?
No,
Oh my God.
monsters.
Go watch like the original Frankenstein and the original Mummy, uh,
Yeah.
Creature from the Black Lagoon, all this really cool old, uh, original black and white Universal Monsters.
Hmm.
Phenomenal. All practical, just and it's black and white too. So
Are
um,
they like the stop motion movies you see where it's like a giant type
King
of
Kong was, yeah.
King Kong? Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
stop acting, but yeah. So I mean, that's where I cut my teeth. I remember being like 3 and 4 years old with my dad watching black and white horror. I love it to this day.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, I still like black and white film. I used to watch a lot of Hitchcock in black and white, and
Hmm.
but yeah, go back and watch some of that stuff, and then compare it to today, and you'll be amazed at what you're
Yeah.
seeing. So that's
Out
what.
of that group, do you think Universal Monsters is a place to start?
Well, yeah, because they're Universal Monsters is what started it.
Sure.
Right? That's the original Dracula. That's the original Mummy. That's the original Frankenstein.
Yep.
Original Invisible Man. Original, like 1928, Lon Chaney, Phantom of the Opera, right? Um, yeah, that's going way back. So go watch that stuff. And, that's when Wes and I, circling back to when Wes and I developed the original Ghostface, that's the one takeaway. We were sitting there and we were about 20 minutes out from rolling cameras. And I'm in the robe and I'm sitting there with Wes and we're in the kitchen. I think Tony Caesar's there, our coordinator. And like, I was doing that, the typical actor crap, like, what's this guy? How's this guy? What's his blah, blah. I'm just, and Wes, he goes, all you got to remember, Lee, is that this guy moves like a phantom. That was a
Wow.
quote, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Because he said that. And I'm like, I'm a bad guy that runs around. I'm a and but he moves like a phantom. That was the key takeaway. I'm like, okay, I could do that. And that's where, and then I went back to, I went, back to 1928. I think that's when the original Phantom was done. Um, and used, and I was kind of going through my mind's library. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when he moves like this and this and this. And that's what I kind of used as my motivation when I was zipping through the house in the opening sequence, right? When you see me zipping across it, it's very, very fast, very aggressive, very intentional. That's how phantoms move in my mind. They don't trip over themselves and their shadows and yeah. So yeah, go watch, go dial up some good old black and white
I
Universal.
will. You know
It's
what?
really
I
good.
genuinely will. I love seeing things that I've never seen before, especially with movies, and hearing that about it actually inspiring you to be a phantom in the opening to Scream '96. I'll definitely
Yeah,
watch that
so
movie. Definitely,
so it's a great one to start with, right? So
big time.
sit down and I highly recommend just hanging out with some popcorn and some scotch and just watching a really good movie.
Scotch, yes,
You
the
know,
Scotch is the way to go.
it
Big
is.
time.
It
Now,
is.
Lee, I understand. I don't have you all day here. It's honestly been so interesting talking to you about your career and what you do for a living, and really getting into what it's actually like doing what you do and what you did. And it's I can't thank you enough for coming on. Genuinely.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm sorry, and our audience doesn't know, but I literally, you know, how far ahead am I from you right now? Because it's like
So,
5 o'clock in the States, 5 p.m. over here.
yeah, yeah. Right here, it's about 1 a.m. This is
Yeah,
craziness.
right. So
But I
I
mean,
got
I
like eight
appreciate it.
hours. And then I just flown in from working at a con, and my plane was late. But we pulled it off, which is great because it was important.
I mean, the
And I
fact that
love
you did that
I love
after
talking about it.
I mean, the fact that you came on after a plane journey and a long one, I can't thank you enough. I mean, after you come off the flight, the first thing you want to do is have a shower, go to bed. But you came on here and you gave me your
you're
full.
not far off, but
Yeah,
Miss Chloe and I have been talking about this for the last freaking 2 months, and I'm like, nah, we got to make this happen, and
you made it happen.
especially with me getting ready to come over there in just about a week or so and hang out with those guys down there in Chester and hopefully terrorize the UK and try to get kicked out. We'll have a good time.
Big time, big time. Well, Lee, it's been great to meet you. I mean, thanks for giving me your energy. I appreciate it again. And yeah, I mean, go to bed, get some sleep.
I am. I think I'm gonna go have a beer and unwind it, and then go to bed. But let me know what you think about Black and White Universal.
I will. I'll have some scotch while watching them.
You know how to get hold of me. I want to hear about it.
I will do. Okay.
Right, peace,
it's been
man.
a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. Good to meet you. Lee Waddell. Can't thank him enough for coming on to the show today. And what the hell? Talking to Ghostface? I mean, if you could go back in time and tell ourselves when we were like 10, 11, 12 watching the Scream movies that one day the dude in the suit running around, chasing Drew Barrymore, you're going to get to talk to him. I never would have believed it. I'm here with Carl today. Carl is usually the editor here on Love of Film, but Carl is a diehard horror movie fanatic, so he's on for today's episode, and he's also co-hosting next week's episode. So, Carl, how are you?
Well, very good, Jamie. Thank you so much for having me on. No, I'm not going to do a voice. That'd be very hard to keep up. I remember it being hard to find the movie back in 2010, 2011, right before the fourth movie came out. I remember it being difficult. Like, you had to pirate everything because, you kids, you can't afford DVD, all these Blu-rays and stuff like that. Yeah, horror was never a big thing in our house. So, getting mom and dad to buy the Scream box set, just like, what do you need that for? Sure. Next week we talk about it as well. We didn't have access to Halloween either. We had to get these movies illegally. It was the only way, to pirate them and stuff like that. I'll admit that now. I'm sure everyone has done that. Today, I would gladly buy these box sets. But yeah, that's just it.
Talking to Lee about putting on the K&B mask for the first time, Carl didn't obviously see this interview that you just saw. I just did it live on a Zoom with Lee, so just telling you what it was like. Lee just thought it was like anything else. He's put on a mask like this. This isn't a K&B mask, and he's like, yeah, you know what? It's just a scene. Here's Wes Craven. I worked with him on Nightmare on Elm Street, but yeah, we're just gonna do another thing, and that must be cool to be remembered for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have here I've never really held this mic. I want to make sure I don't mute it. We have here my childhood mask, because I don't know if it was caught in the audio earlier, but I used to dress up as Ghostface a lot. Kind of obsessed at one point. Not obsessed with killing people, but anyway, here we go. This is, I believe this is just a standard, isn't it? Like it says Easter Unlimited Inc. And we would have got this around the time that Scream 4 was made. You can see that I've taped up the bottom, and that's just from the...
like a silicone rubber urethane type of thing.
Yeah. Surprisingly not that faded and not that yellowed out. So, and that's the same with this guy back here as well. I think they're identical. This one's just older. And this one's just held up in better shape.
Definitely from the same mold, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. So around the time Scream 4, you can still get them free. I think they're just a bit... In standard shops, stores, they're just a bit lesser quality now.
While we're on the subject of Scream, I have to say, in terms of a ranking, I have, a ranking that surprised Lee. And maybe, I don't know if you'll have a similar one, but I'll go down from, how many, we're 7 Screams. So I'll go down from 7 in order of what I think is worst to best, okay? So the last place would be Scream 7. Which was the most recent movie, or Scream 6, was it? Fuck. Scream 6. We're going order from 6 down to 1, right? So Scream 6 would be, I think, my least favorite, and the reason for that is, they really had it set up to be Matthew Lillard. I mean, if you watch it, you can kind of tell it was going to be him, and Neve Campbell wasn't in it. That's definitely, say, last. After that would be Scream 5, because, it was good, but spoiler alert, Dewey dies. I don't like that. Then I would go Scream 4. So we're actually kind of in order now. Then I'd go Scream 3, Scream 2, or Scream 1, sorry, and ending on Scream 2. I think Scream 2 is the best.
Yeah, I think Scream 6 definitely dead last. A lot of that's gonna be controversial, surprisingly, because a lot of people like that movie. I don't know why.
Can't understand it myself.
It's and you're right. It is. I think I don't know this for sure, but I think there's some elements of that plot that you could definitely argue were meant for Neve Campbell, and just because of what happened, they were kind of just
rewritten,
regurgitated into what we saw. And I feel like the ending reminded me of a lot of those YouTube slasher movies back in it. No offense, but like Smiley, you know, those you know what I mean? Like those movies where like, oh look, it's about 4 people are the killers, and for some reason they're all just psychopaths, and you know
the killers had no motivation, man. Like, I mean, even Roman and there goes Ghostface. Is he okay? Yeah, be careful. Apparently he always gets back up. Scream 3 gets a lot of hate for absolutely no reason. That movie is good, okay, for what it is. The reason I bring that up is Roman, the Ghostface in that movie. At least he makes sense to be Ghostface. You're like, oh, okay, this goes back, you know, a lore with Sydney's mom and before the first movie. But that newest movie, Scream 6, what was it, the random police dude? It's the worst. No motivation.
Can I just say, terrible. Watching the movie in the cinema, I remember thinking, there's no way this guy's the killer. He's like, he's this, what was his character again? He's like this kind of side, he's the standard detective.
When they went bad, they were acting all goofy, like, it's me!
It was like Scary Movie or something like that, like where they're just like, and now we're crazy, you know? Oh, let's go, let's kill everyone, kind of thing. And it was so sudden as well. And then that one guy gets stabbed 50 times. One of the main
gets back up. He's like, he'll probably be Ghostface in the next movie for no reason, being like, I turned bad because it hurt.
And then I couldn't take it seriously because of Flash from Spider-Man was in there.
Yeah.
Great actor, but you know, respect to him. But like, I just couldn't take it seriously. It's the script. The script is just a goofy movie, and I think you can. There's definitely arguments there that you could say it was meant for Matthew Lillard and Neve Campbell. It just didn't work out.
Badly rewritten.
And look, no disrespect to the new cast, but to me, Neve Campbell, you know, is Scream, and her returning for 7 is the best thing that can happen to the franchise. Anyway, my ranking, if you want to hear it, is gonna be pretty similar to yours. Scream 6, Scream 5, you know.
Oh yeah.
Scream. I kind of like. Sometimes I bounce between 3 and 4, because 4 came out when I was like 12, and I was kind of attached to it at the time. Even though it's.
You know, that's what mine is, but I think 4 is better than 3.
You know, maybe. And then, but I love Roman because he's just hilarious. You know. And then then Scream. So Scream 3, then Scream 4, then Scream 2, and then Scream 1. So
the only difference really is the number 1 spot.
Oh, you like Scream 2, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I know arguably Scream, the first one, is better than Scream 2, but I just weird place in my heart with that movie. And you know, I said that to Lee, and he thought it was crazy. He was like, "What? This interview's over. What do you mean Scream 2 is better than Scream 1?" But hey, what can you do? But yeah, I mean, I think it's time to jump on to Chris with the news.
Okay, guys, so that was our interview with Lee Waddell. Thanks, Carl, for breaking down the episode. Stay tuned for next week, as we will actually see more of our cameraman and editor, Carl, as he co-hosts a very special episode with a very special guest, which I guess the hint I'm going to give you is he's the king of Halloween. Anyway, Jamie, let's break down the movie news of the week, because I know we couldn't do it the last 2 weeks, I believe. I was just away, so let's break it down.
Hello, Chris. You sound a little bit like James May. I don't know if anyone remembers that from Top Gear with the hello viewers. Time for the news. We have some interesting news. The Simpsons movie 2. They're making another one. 2027. Thoughts?
I'm actually pretty psyched for this. I'm not going to lie. Now, has Simpsons been good since forever? No, it has not been. It has not been good probably since the Simpsons movie, because to be honest, I think everyone thought that was the end of the show, or at least it felt like that way. the first Simpsons movie was great. I watch it at least once a year. You know, it has that iconic scene of Homer Simpson on the iceberg, kind of breaking away as he's trying to pick up the pieces of his marriage with Marge. It's just such a beautiful film. So yeah, no, that's like, for me, that's the official end of The Simpsons. I just watch reruns, maybe at this time Treehouse of Horror because it's in season. But no, I'm pretty excited because, you know, I would want Simpsons to be in the mainstream again, obviously provided it's actually good. But I feel like they might get all the right. I haven't really looked into the report a lot, but I feel like if they got all the original writers back, it actually could be good. And it's actually funny because it is releasing, I believe, on the same day as another film. I don't know what the film is, but they're saying it was going to be like a kind of Barbie and Oppenheimer situation. I can't remember what that other film was, but it's coming out the same day as the Simpsons movie. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Oh, on the Simpsons movie too. Well, it's like this, right? The Simpsons movie to me should have been the ending of The Simpsons. It was incredible. Homer had this arc, which, you know, to the layman viewer, they wouldn't have known Homer Simpson had an arc, but he had a very clear one from the first season in the 80s up until the movie, where he was going in a very, very dumb direction, as he was becoming kind of like, he wasn't a bad father in the early seasons. He would do stupid stuff, but then immediately at the end of the episode, Homer would have this heartfelt moment where he makes up with Bart, or he makes up with Lisa, or Marge, or Maggie, whatever it is. But then the seasons kept going, and Homer kind of went into a place where he wasn't apologizing, he didn't seem to care, to the point where we got to the Simpsons movie, where the plot of the movie was, all of that came to an end. Homer Simpson realized that he isn't a good dad. And he realized that he loves Bart and he loves Marge. And he got all of that taken away from him, his whole family. And at the very end of the movie, he puts his family ahead of himself and becomes a good dad at last. So, you know, I'm not interested in the Simpsons movie 2. Because to me, that's the ending of The Simpsons. The way they wrap that up, it is an excellent film. It has, to me, no faults. That is the ending. So the fact that they're doing a second one is like, all right, if they are doing one, this has to be the end. Like, what is the point of doing the Simpsons movie 2, and then the next year it's season 43 or whatever they're on? Like, what is the game plan? I mean, these actors, legendary actors, they're not going to be around forever. They definitely don't sound the same, so they have to wrap up. But yeah, I just hope that this is the end, because the first movie should have been the ending.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, they might be just trying to go out with a bang. I'd say with this, there could be a possibility that this is the last Simpsons content we see, and they want to give all these voice actors a good send-off. So I hope that's the case, but also I understand your opinion, your worries. Now, next on the movie news. Okay, next in the movie news is we've received new images and some new interviews from the cast of Toy Story 5. That is the hot topic of this week. Jamie... Mostly Tim Allen, yeah. He,
I think he just let the premise slip without permission.
Yeah, he pretty much says the whole movie. He says the whole movie is about Jesse. It's a real focus on Jesse, and like we pretty much know what's happening. Like we know there's going to be evil Buzz Lightyears who were these new models.
I don't think they're evil.
Oh, okay, they're just these new models.
They're trying to get home
From what I heard, they're using the scrapped plot for Toy Story 3, which was that there was a huge, well, maybe it was like a huge.
There was a reason it was scrapped. It was bad. It was bad. The original idea was like a bunch of buzzes. Huh?
Before you say, I think it's that the movie's about Jessie finding herself as the new sheriff.
That's so lame.
And a big army of new electronic buzzes are trying to get home to their factory or something from an island. That's the opening was at D23 and everything. And the villain is an iPad, like a leap.
Look.
By Conan.
Yeah.
Or not Conan, Anna Faris. And then Conan is playing somebody else, like Smarty Pants or something.
It's just like the Simpsons movie, as in it was the perfect beginning, middle, and end. They had it. It was excellent. Quentin Tarantino said it. It's like, after that third movie, I'm done. That was it. The fourth movie is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Regardless of it just being number 4, it is bad. I don't care what anyone says. Woody would never abandon a kid. Are you telling me he stayed with Andy all those years? And what, he stayed with Bonnie a year and he's like, yeah, she's playing with a different toy. I'm out of here. Bull. Garbage.
From what I've seen watching the movie again recently, it's that he kind of feels like he doesn't get played with, and then he feels like he has no purpose in the room anymore, and that he's lived out his career as sheriff.
Yeah.
Woody.
Yeah, in the fourth movie.
Oh, yeah, that is.
He lived out. He feels like he has to. He did all he could for kids.
That's stupid. Woody would never do that.
And then Bonnie isn't interested in him anyway. And then when he finds Bo Peep, he wanted to leave with her the first time anyway.
I'm gonna say I don't think it's the worst film of all time. I think it's the worst Toy Story of all time. I agree with you completely. Completely agree with Quentin Tarantino. Perfect trilogy. You know, like literally, the third one is like he's even said it himself. The third one's his favorite film. The third one is amazing. I even played the game religiously.
Why
But
did they make it end?
What I would say is Toy Story 4, while it is completely unnecessary, and I'm not crazy about the villain in that movie, Woody does have some character development, though. He realizes, if you hear their cameraman, hear Carol saying there, that, he realizes that he doesn't have a purpose anymore, and so that's why he's like, oh, well, maybe my purpose is with Bo, Now, look. Yeah, like, it gives him a new reason, because, like, think about it. Is he going to be played with Bonnie? Like, is it going to be a cycle where he's played with by Bonnie?
It's a good plot. I don't really like it, but that's where it went.
No, but I see where they were coming from.
I have a good retort to that, right? Woody's whole motivation is that he wants to be with Bo. If he really cared that much about Bo Peep, why didn't he go looking for her when she went missing?
Because he was loyal to Andy.
Okay, yeah, you could say that, but when Buzz fell out the window, Woody sure as hell jumped after him when he went to Sid's house. In
the flashback.
I don't think he did it very well.
The third movie, he says, when he says, yeah, we've all lost everyone, and he says, even Bo.
I think it's a
sad about it in the third film, you can tell.
You know what? I just think the character changes. His core beliefs are, of course, that to always be loyal to your owner, to be Andy, and obviously Bonnie. But I think he just changes. People change. I think the shotgun's getting you, Carl. Yeah, shotgun Mike.
Can I just say as well that I think one of the best moments in the third film is when Woody realizes that a lot of his friends are no longer in the room, he's like, yeah, we've lost a lot of people.
The third movie is not watchable anymore because the whole point is Woody got his happy ending. He decided to put himself away from what he wanted. He threw himself in the box of toys to be with Buzz. There is no way in hell Woody would ever have abandoned Buzz. Not the real Woody. Whoever this wannabe Toy Story 4 fan fiction is, that is bull.
Can I just say, he's also suddenly not porcelain anymore in the fourth film.
Yeah, that makes no sense as well, yeah. In all the other movies, like Potato Head goes, get it through your porcelain head, Woody. And then in the fourth movie, Bonnie's dad just steps on his head and he has a plastic head. Who made that movie? Whoever made it are not Toy Story fans.
It to be a toy from the 50s.
I want to find the director and the writer of that movie. And I want to tell them, you suck.
Before you do, can you just touch on, hopefully the fifth one is a chance to, because they're going to reunite Wood anyway, alright? Hopefully it's a chance to bring it back to the ending of the second movie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But now, time for our last bit of movie/TV show news. Stranger Things Season 5. We got a lot of new details this week. Am I excited for Stranger Things Season 5? No, I'm sorry, but I've completely forgotten about Stranger Things at this point. But let's go over the news before we go into our personal opinions, all right? No. Let me, yeah, he just recently rewatched it. No, I have my own brain. I can make my own decisions. Stranger Things 5 will release this fall. 4 episodes on November 26th. 3 episodes on Christmas. Very interesting. And a finale episode on New Year's Eve. Each volume releases at 5 p.m. Okay, we don't care about that stuff.
Release dates are shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Netflix, you started with just releasing them all in one bunch. Why can't we just keep that?
Who wants to watch that on
Christmas. It's a Halloween show. I'm sorry. Or you're not Halloween, but you know what I mean. It's not Christmas.
It's either summer or Halloween.
Yeah, but anyway.
No one's going to have time to watch it.
Yeah, I don't like this thing of them all being all these I don't like this thing with the episodes being staggered. Like, it's a habit of Cobra Kai done it.
Each episode's like 2 hours.
No, I didn't hear that.
2 hours
One
per
plot
episode.
detail that they did reveal, I think I seen on my Instagram today, is that there's going to be an 18-month time jump, I believe, which would make sense because, I mean, you know, they're all adults. Millie Bobby Brown is married.
Wait a sec.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm getting picked up because it's on auto mode. But
Oh.
yeah, even if it isn't, are you saying that they waited 18 months while the city was being torn apart?
Yeah. They're going to have to explain that plot hole because, like, I don't know if you can insert an end shot of season 4. It's literally the last shot of the episode. Literally, it looks like, oh, Hawkins is screwed. Hawkins is going to get destroyed. The Upside Down is in.
Deadly Hallows Part 2 mode.
Yeah, and then you're telling me 18 months passed? I'm sorry, that means that's the season 4's badass ending makes no sense then. What are your thoughts on this time jump? What are your thoughts on, you know, getting this season like after such a goddamn long period?
I know yous are gonna hate me, but I love them, and I love Stranger Things, and they've never had a bad episode. They've been supplying us with the best show on Netflix for years. The last season, season 4, knocked it out of the park. I remember in 2022, I was just mesmerized watching that.
Okay, but
And for me, I'm like, the only thing I don't like is it being separated with the release.
Let me just say that I was 24 going 25 when that came out, and now I'm 28. This is shocking.
Look, you know, I think they could take a note from Dexter Resurrection's book where they filmed this January and it came out this June or July. Like that it can turn around that fast, you know.
Look at that.
Yeah. But look, I like Stranger Things. I've never had a problem with it. I do agree it takes a long time to come out, but yeah, I love the show.
That wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have another Halloween guest, of course, next week. And yeah, stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for Lee for coming on. Jamie, any final thoughts?
Stay tuned next week for our Halloween special. I'm telling you now, if you're a fan of, well, Halloween, you're going to want to see this guest. So anyway, we'll see you next week.